GM has been caught committing buku buckets of fraud along with Ford, or have they? Or are they just playing the game? I mean, they didn't make the rules, and it appears the shenanigans they're up to are all somehow on the up and up. I'll go into how it happened, what it is, why it matters, and what's gonna happen next. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. So here's what happened. Saw this post from Spencer. Ford and GM found a way to extend the $7,500 EV credit. Look at that. Through December 25th, December of 2025. Yeah, that's crazy. Beyond the September 30th expiration. The strategy, they place small down payments on their entire EV inventory before the deadline, effectively selling the vehicles to themselves. This locked in the tax credit eligibility. Result, customers can still get the $7,500 off on Ford and GM through the end of the year with the discount built into lease and finance deals. Couple clarifications, we'll get to those. According to the reports, both automakers cleared this approach with IRS officials before implementation. They appear to be the only manufacturers using this strategy. This keeps competitive lease deals available for several more months despite the official expiration. That's more accurate. This says lease and finance deals. I don't think it applies to finance. I think it only applies to lease. What in the heck is going on? So let's take a look here. Ford and GM extend it for leases. Now, you can't buy your own car to get the credit. That turns it into a used car. No one's going to pay, even if it's $7,500 off for a 0-day used car, it's still a used car. So how does this work? And again, you can't buy it from yourself. That doesn't get you around it. There's a limit to how many of these you can get in a year. Clearly, clearing out your inventory would do the whole thing. So what are we talking about here? How did they do it? The move allows certain electric vehicles to qualify. Certain, that's key. Ford and General Motors developed a method through the IRS guidance. They used their financing arms. Yeah, they didn't just buy the cars. GM didn't buy them. GMAC bought them. And I know it's not GMAC anymore. It's called Ally. Ally is what GMAC was until recently. They are not a wholly owned subsidiary. They have spun out into their own company. And you can see here, 2020s, they are a separate company. They're not part of GM any longer. So GM could have reached out to them and said, you make the down payment, we'll guarantee it if the cars don't sell. But in the meantime, we're going to sell them. And not sell them, lease them. They're going to lease them. So that's what's going on with that. Let's jump back over. This is the method. So the idea is if the car is in transit, you can, or it's sitting on a dealer's lot, both of which are the case, you can put a small deposit. You can say this car is sold, because when you list who the buyer is, it's the leasing company. The leasing company is the only name that matters. They get the $7,500 credit. This is how vehicles that weren't even part of the IRA became eligible for a discount through a lease. Now you can make it so that that lease can be bought out at the end. That makes it a purchase with that discount, but that's an extra step. Not everyone's going to do that. Well, why didn't Tesla do this? Well, Tesla doesn't have a financing arm, and Tesla is under extreme scrutiny. Tesla gets in trouble for doing things that are legal all the time. If you look at the EV rebate program in Canada, they were cleared of all wrongdoing. The only thing that the competition didn't like is that Tesla was more effective at digitally submitting claims. All of them were valid. They were all checked, every last one, and they were valid. They just didn't like how it was done. So I imagine Tesla's playing the safe game on that. You had to take delivery for the lease by the end of September. That was the IRS guidance. But if there was a third-party lessee, maybe it would have worked. GM and Ford claimed that they were told it would. Tesla was not. So getting back over here, Let's check this out again. The Detroit automakers use their financing arms, called captive finance companies, to make down payments on EVs before finding customers. Now, worth noting, Ally isn't entirely captive. When it was GMAC, I used them to purchase a used BMW. That's who my lien holder was, GMAC. They'll finance anybody. And I don't remember if the dealership was a Chevy dealer. It might have been, but it was a dealership. Ford and GM spokespeople confirmed the programs to the Detroit Free Press, part of the USA Today network. Picture of some trucks. Stellantis has not announced a similar program, but Stellantis is asleep at the wheel. They need FSD or they're going to crash. In a statement, the company said it will continue to be aggressive in the marketplace to support our customers and future customers considering an electrified option. Tax credit eligibility applies to retail leases only, so not fleets, according to documents outlining Ford's program. Electric vehicle purchases and fleets do not apply. So you can't just buy it. You can't buy it from the leasing company, and you can't buy it as a fleet. Jim Farley told reporters at a media event on September 30th, the automaker worked to implement the program because he believes the EV owner base is important to the automaker's future. Now, I would add to that Ford and GM had inventory remaining on the end of the month. Tesla, less so. They certainly didn't have buyers after on the 30th. Ford and GM didn't. They're hoping that those interested parties show up. And I would say that if this is the kind of analysis you like, you want more of, you want a reward, please subscribe. It helps tremendously. The YouTube algorithm is brutal, and it really does help. So which cars are we talking about? These are the cars that did qualify through September. Acura, top of the list, this is alphabetical. The Cadillac Lyriq, the Optic, and the Fish Stick all qualified. Pretty sure I pronounced that right. The Blazer EV, the Equinox EV, and the Silverado EV. 6 different GM vehicles qualified. Those are likely lease deals that you can go out and get now. If you miss the $7,500 window, you can get those if you want a car that's mid. I mean, some people do. Ford Lightning, 24 and 25 model years for a flash trim, and 23 to 25 model years for Lariat and XLT trims up to $80,000. And that's it. There's no other ones on here. All of the 4 Tesla models that had qualified, don't. You're done. Kia EV6 and 9, done. Jeep Wagoneer, done. Which I think, was that electric? I think that was hybrid. Anyway, whatever it was, Cadillac makes up a disproportionate percentage of this list. And if we're talking about 7 models between Ford and GM, 6 of them being GM, that's a lot of vehicles, man. That's a lot of vehicles. So that's how that works. I would add to it that the additional shenanigans were because do you think the dealers want to play this game? Do you think they want to do the extra paperwork? They were given $1,000 to participate. We will give you dealer cash, dealer incentive of $1,000 per unit if you just do the paperwork. Just do it. Just do the paperwork. And as a result, they can now assign those to someone else later. And I guess if the deal falls apart, you could just ask for a refund on that binding contract. I mean, it does have to be binding. So there is some risk. How many do you assign? How many do you allot? Well, how many you got? I did have someone ask, did Tesla miss the boat on this? Should they have done this? I said, I didn't know at the time that this was an actual thing that had actually happened. And I said, it wouldn't have mattered if it was legit. Tesla didn't have the inventory. Now that I see the shenanigans, Tesla also didn't have the financing arm with which to do it. Maybe they could have made a deal with some company, guaranteed their losses if they would just put the deposits down. It gets into some more gray area there. I don't know how the Department of Justice would feel about that, how the FTC would feel about that. They might have some issues. The real risk now is that all these vehicles that have been made by Ford by GM won't sell in the next quarter. I mean, they've already had a problem moving these units before. And great, you managed to knock 7,500 off. But how much more are you going to have to discount them to sell them? It's clear that Ford is losing money on every EV they sell. And they're selling pretty well, I guess. General Motors, I'm not convinced their gross margin is positive on these vehicles. Their cost of goods sold is quite high. Their incentives, their special deals are quite affordable. And even still, they kind of struggle to move them. So moving forward, this could cause some real discomfort for these manufacturers. Are they going to actually be able to sell them? Guys, on Thursday, I'm going to be at the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association for our monthly meeting. This month, it is being held at Dick Hanna Nissan, which is where we have the an opportunity to see the Nissan Leaf. We're getting a tour of it from the sales folks who will have been freshly trained on it. oeva.org. Join us, won't you? Dick Hanna Nissan, McLaughlin Boulevard in Gladstone, Oregon. And that's going to be a lot of fun. Next week, I'm going to be in Michigan on Sunday. I think I'm having a meet and greet in Plymouth. So if you're there for that, that's fun too. I've got it here somewhere, I'm sure. There it is. Going to be doing this October 12th, 11 to 2. Join me, won't you? Everybody else, like, subscribe, do what you do. Stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots when those old so-and-sos at Ford and GM finally face justice for using a loophole that they didn't even create themselves.